Hello everybody, I'm Steve and welcome to Green Side Up. Down in the allotment today in a large polytunnel, and today I'm potting these brassicas on, and then I'm going to be sowing some seeds in a couple of places in the polytunnel, maybe outside too, as a useful comparison, but mostly it's all brassicas today, including the sowings. So we'll crack on with that now. Okay, these are a tray of brassicas that I sowed a couple of weeks ago now and started them off on the propagator at home. They just need that gentle warmth just to get them going. They don't need continued warmth. So I've brought them down here now to pot on, and they can go in the little tunnel on those temporary bench I've got in there, which is it's a boon for me. So this is unsieved compost. It's straight out of the bag. It's not sieved at all, so there are lumps in there. I've just tried to take the bigger lumps out as I was pulling it out of the bag, rubbed it up so that it's light and fluffy. I'm just going to pot these fellas on now. I've got a couple of types of lettuce, some collies, a few different types of collies. There's a kale there that didn't come up, so that's an old seed and will need chucking. Brussels sprouts and yellow chard. But this first one is probably my favourite lettuce and cabbage, and that's Golden Acre. So these were sown into sieved compost, and this just makes it easier to pull apart like that. And that's one of the reasons why I sow into sieved compost, is the ease that the seedlings will come apart and come out without damage. And I'm basically planting these as deep as I can. If these had grown on any further and we had true leaves coming out, you could plant all the way up to that depth if you wanted to. These won't go down that deep, I don't think. Oh, that might. But there is nothing wrong with that at all. You can see how easy these are coming apart. I really should have moistened this compost first, because these holes are just, this compost is so dry, these holes are just falling apart as I'm doing this, but it'll be right. And I'm just going to do a couple of these little trays of these, with the aim of planting out about a dozen, I would say, is enough. So again, just tease them apart. It's almost too easy. So there's one tray. I'll just quickly do another one as well. So brassicas are fairly hardy plants, and they will stand this cooler weather that we have at the moment. You know, it's not summer. Don't like that one, it's too leggy. And these will do all right in the other tunnel. There's a bit of protection for them. And as long as you keep on top of the watering, and if we have some colder weather forecast, you can, if you want to, come down and throw some fleece over them. get to your plants, put some fleece over them, and that's pretty much all the protection they will need. And you could argue that, you know, they don't need that really. Now I know everyone grows their plants different, which is fair enough. I know some gardeners who will keep these in propagators for quite a long time. Personally, I don't think they need it, but as I say, you know, everyone develops their own growing method. And the most important thing is, if it works for them, why would they change it? That's the important thing. Why would you change something if it's not broken? So there we go, there's 16 little golden acre cabbages sown there, potted on there. And I'll aim to plant about a dozen. One or two of those may keel over, they may all survive. But this is the reason why I sow in these trays early on in the season, to save that space. I mean, that one little row of cabbages there could have been sown individually in these modules. Look at this, you know, they're basically half tray sizes there already, so just for 8 cabbages. But I've got 2, 4, 6, 8 varieties in there, so you can imagine 8 times that in that space. So that's why I do it this way. So these just need a water now and be left to get on with it. Okay, I've got them all potted on now, apart from the yellow chard, which you can see just at the end here. They're a little bit small for potting on. I'll probably damage more of them because I'm so ham-fisted. A few spares of the plants there if I need to refill one of those modules there. Well, that's just my start on my brassicas. Depending on how they grow and when they need to be planted out, they may get potted on into pots and grown on, or be planted straight out as little plug plants. We'll see. Time will tell, and so will the weather. Yeah, so they're all on the temporary bench there, along with all the onions that are now coming on really, really well. Very pleased with those now. So this bench will soon be full, and I'll need to put the next layer down. Yeah, I should have this full within a week or two now, and this extra layer here can be put down, and I'll fill that as well. It won't take me very long to fill that. Anyway, we'll go and sow some seeds in the big tunnel. Okay, what I've got here is just a mushroom tray with an old compost sack in, and I've rammed it with compost. Absolutely rammed it in, down into all the corners. Want as much in here as I possibly can get in, really. Because what I'm going to do is I'm going to sow some lettuce in here. And this is the first of sort of 2 or 3 that I'll do. And they'll just sit in here on my hanging shelf. And the variety I've got is this salad leaves speedy mix. It was a freebie, it came with a magazine, I think last month. This month's magazine is here now, and there's another mix in that, and I'll sow that in a few days as well. But it's a couple of free sandwiches, to be honest with you, because there's about 250 seeds in there. There we go, put the whole lot in there. And that should give us a good cut and come again lettuce. So I'll just cover them with some compost. Again, straight out the bag, no mucking around. And there we go, that's it. And should see signs of action in here within a couple of weeks, and probably harvest it in anywhere between 6, 7 and 8 weeks, I suppose. I don't know how long it tells to harvest, but it's one of the quickest mixes. Salad leaves speedy mix. So I'll just put on lettuce speedy. Then if it's any good, I can go and buy the actual mix. So there we go, there's another seed sown for today. Go and find something else to sow now. Brassicas. Right, so I'm going to sow a couple of brassicas directly into the soil. What have I done with that? You can keep your eye on that if you can see it, hopefully. Let's put it over here. They'll have a better chance of seeing it. But this soil temperature in here now is 10 degrees, and that's more than ample enough to sow seeds, or to sow brassicas, I should say, more importantly. You don't need a very high heat. And I've got two types here I'm going to sow. One is radish and one is a broccoli. Now both of these again were free seeds on the cover of a magazine. I won't go into them because other people do that already, talk about these seeds. And I'm just going to palm sow these seeds into this drill. Now I've just measured the temperature outside and in the bed where I'm going to sow these same seeds again as a comparison, and it's about 8 degrees, which again is perfect for brassicas. So what we'll do is, as these grow, we can compare. I can shoot backwards and forwards with the camera and show you the difference. Now they obviously, because they're not in a propagator where you might get a temperature of say 20 odd degrees, they're going to grow slower than they would do in a propagator, but they will still grow, and that's the important thing. And especially if you're just starting off as a gardener and you haven't got all the fancy kit, it does mean you can get going. You don't need heat lamps, you don't need propagators, they just help. They help you grow seeds faster. And that there is as simple as it gets. I'll take that away now and then just quickly water that, and then we'll reconvene outside where I'm going to sow this under one of the cold frames I made a couple of weeks ago. So that's those there. Yeah, 10 degrees. Okay, so we're outside now between the two tunnels, and this is one of the very quick makeshift cold frames I made. Just an old window frame resting on some bricks, and straight away you can see that whereas the soil around has got very few weeds, there's quite a few coming up in here, simply because it's warmer underneath here, and weeds are expert growers and they'll want to get away as quickly as possible. So I shall pull those out and then we'll sow some seeds. Right, so that's it roughly weeded. This is mini claw, by the way. The other one is daddy claw. So that's all roughed up, and I'm just going to put whatever this will allow me. I don't think there's many of these seeds left now. They're only trial packets of seeds, and you generally don't get as much as if you went and bought the full package, so to speak. So I'll just put a little drill across there. These are the Romanesco cauliflowers in there, and then I'll just put a small row of these radish. These are flamboyant. Again, they're the freebies, so I won't cover them what came in the magazine because I know other people do that already. Don't want to steal their thunder. So there we go, that's those done, and we'll just see. There's a couple of degrees difference in the soil temperature. Should have put that in really. There's a couple of degrees sort of difference, soil temperature difference between the two places, but they both should grow as they would in a propagator or on a heated propagator bench or on heat mats or on a windowsill. You know, the more heat they've got, the better they will grow. You can see that's just dipping down below 10 degrees now, and it would continue to drop all the way down to 8 because that's where I measured it before. So we'll just cover them up again and leave them to it, and we'll come back in a few weeks and see what the crack is with them. Job's a good one. So that's how I sow my brassicas. I sow them in little trays and prick them out from there into modules, maybe pot them on into pots from there, And I simply do that just because it saves me space in the greenhouse, allows me to get a good start on the year and get things going. I also sow in the ground, as you've just seen there. I will be sowing more at home. I'll be sowing more in here throughout the year. The sowing for me does not stop. It just sort of in December, November and December, it slows down, but I'm still sowing seeds all the time. The more plants I can get to come up, the better I like it, the more choice I've got. Got a salad mix on there. Actually, that needs some water. So that's really about me for today, to be honest. Yeah, that's me for today. Look after yourselves, everyone. Take care, and I'll see you very, very soon. Ta-ra now.